Welcome to Doc's Download, the podcast edition, where real conversations meet real Buckeye life. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Shivers, Senior Vice President for Student Life, and better known as Doc, here to bring you stories, strategies, and a few laughs along the way. Whether you're a brand new Buckeye or a seasoned one, consider this your all-access pass to tips, truths, and triumphs straight from the heart of campus. Let's dive in, everybody. All right, everybody, welcome to Doc's Download, the podcast edition, the podcast where story, strategy, and student success come together. I am your host, Dr. Melissa Shivers, better known as Doc. Today, we are diving into three areas that impact nearly every single Buckeye: the residential experience. From housing and dining and recreation, these touch points really do help shape how students engage, learn, and thrive at The Ohio State University. And as we all know, what students want and what students need, those are always evolving. I am so thrilled to be joined today by three campus leaders who live and breathe this work every single day, Monday through Sunday, 8 to 8, all day. Is that right, team? All day.
All day.
First, I want to introduce Abby Hertzfeld. Abby is our Senior Director of Dining Services. Andre Love, who is our Director of Recreational Sports. And our wonderful student leader, Matthew Swearingen, who is one of our incredible resident advisors. Before we jump into today's conversation, I'd love for each of you to introduce yourself and share a little bit about what brought you to this role or some of your favorite things about Ohio State. Actually, let's do both. What brought you into the role? What brought you to Ohio State? And what are your favorite things? So I added one more just for good measure. Everybody got that?
Keep us on our toes.
Keep you on your toes. That's right, Andre. That's right. All right, Abby, we're going to start with you.
Oh, great. So, again, my name is Abby Hertzfeld. I'm the Senior Director of Dining Services, and I've actually been with this university for 32 years. What keeps me here is what got me here. So I was a student employee with Dining Services for 4 years and have been full-time for 28 as of next week. So it's been a life for me here at Ohio State. I came as a student and never left. I was a hospitality management major and just found such amazing leaders and individuals who wanted to see my success that I just never had an opportunity to leave because they kept giving me opportunities that I felt in the private sector could have taken me a lifetime to achieve, and I was doing them 2 or 3 years out of college because they trusted in my skill set and they knew my work ethic and they were there to help and support me. So that's why I work here. Like, I try to give that back, pay forward, as Woody would have said. I have to give that back. That's what our family does. We always try to pay back. And then my favorite part about Ohio State is in the morning when it's really calm and there's a little bit of fog, and I love to just walk across campus. It's just so peaceful and so zen, resets my clock, and really reminds me of why I'm here and why I love everything about this campus.
That's incredible, Abby. Now I want to take that walk across campus.
It's the perfect time.
That's
that
awesome.
AM moment where there's just a little dew, a little bit of fog. I got to do it last weekend before the Texas game because I was here so early. We had some opportunities, so I was here really early to help, and it was very, very surreal. It's a really great moment.
That's awesome. And Abby, I do just want to say all of those opportunities that you earned, they were not just given, you earned them all. So we are very fortunate that you remain a part of the Buckeye family. So thank you. Andre.
Yes. How are you?
Tell me good, you?
I'm doing great.
All right. Tell me a little bit about what brought you here, all the questions.
Absolutely. Andre Love, I've been here now. I'm starting year 5. Can you believe that? Seems like yesterday when I just started here. Yeah.
I just hired you.
Just hired me, right?
What in the world?
So,
okay.
So
Time is a thief, I tell you.
That's right. So yeah, starting year 5, and I tell everyone I went to college and I never left. And so from day one, I was involved and engaged in recreational sports a really long time ago at the University of Southern Mississippi. And was a computer science major. It had no intention of staying in higher ed, but lo and behold, getting engaged and getting involved. And I think that's part of our story too. That's what makes us appreciate the students that we get to work with and get to engage with, because you never know what that's going to lead into. So having worked on campus, like I said, went to college and never left, and being here for now almost 5 years. And like Abby said, like one of my favoriteest things about Ohio State is the people we get to interact with. So whether it's students or professionals, and you can usually find me at least twice during the fall. I end up somewhere near the lake for lunch and sitting in the amphitheater there and just enjoying the scenery. I love looking out at water. Like being near water is always my thing. And so and being able to look at that fountain and just ground and be grounded and kind of transform and watch the buzz and excitement of campus as fall kicks back off. And speaking of kickoff and football and so it's the excitement around all of that, and that buzz is what keeps me coming back and keeps me here, and I absolutely love it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Andre. I'm going to have to take a walk to the lake.
Yeah.
And then Matthew's going to help me round it out. Matthew, tell us a little bit about you.
All right. So I'm entering my 4th year here at Ohio State, studying air transportation. It feels like just yesterday was my freshman year, and I was just moving into my freshman dorm. I mean, the time has flown. But I came to Ohio State. I say I've been here my entire life. I've been coming to campus since practically middle school, just for different events and different opportunities. I was very involved in a youth program called 4-H, facilitated through OSU Extension. And they just gave me so many leadership opportunities to come to campus, to learn leadership skills, to travel all over the country. And I just created such a vast network here on campus before I even got here. And so when it came time to make a decision on which college I was going to go to, there was no question about it. I knew that OSU was where I wanted to end up. And actually, I got my first campus job offer the day before I showed up for orientation. I was just visiting my friends on campus, and my future supervisor rounded the corner and was like, "Hey, you're coming here. I was about to email you. Do you want to work for me?" And I was like, "Heck yeah." So I mean, day 0, not even day 1, day 0. I just jumped right in, had my first job, started to learn a little bit about student life, meet my RA and other people who were just so welcoming, and made me feel right at home and reassured me that this was the right decision. So then my sophomore year, I decided to become an RA myself so that I could take all of those leadership experiences and desire to build community and give back, like you said, Abby. And I just became an RA, and I haven't stopped since. This is my 3rd year being an RA. I've lived all over campus. I tell some people how many places I've lived, and they're like, "You're crazy." And then my parents don't let me forget how many times they've had to help me move. We're tracking the move. I think we're on move 8 now.
Oh, my goodness.
2 a year.
Oh,
2 a year.
right.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's about time that we just start hiring a moving company. I think the investment would be worth it.
It might be.
It might be, yeah.
It might be.
But what I love about the campus is just how welcoming everybody is. And visitors to campus have pointed that out to me, how anyone here on campus is just so willing to help out, to answer a question, to guide you in the right place. I haven't had that experience with other universities, and other people have told me the same. And it really opened my eyes to realize, OSU is super welcoming, and anyone is willing to help you out. So that's what keeps me here.
Well, Matthew, you didn't tell us about your favorite place so that I could venture there.
My favorite place? Well, let's see. If you're already at Mirror Lake taking an early morning walk,
right,
I think you should stop for coffee at Connecting Grounds on your way there.
Oh.
That way you kind of get the North Campus experience, head on down from there. I'm a frequent Connecting Grounds visitor.
Okay. What do you get? What do you order?
It's always going to be a large iced cafe mocha, 2% milk, no whip, every day.
Mocha, 2% milk.
2% milk.
No whip.
No whip. Every
Period.
morning. Period.
No whip. Done.
Never. Mm-hmm.
And then you make your way to wherever you're going next.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that. That's fantastic. So I get a wonderful walk in the morning to Mirror Lake, and I go to Connecting Grounds to sort of wrap it all up to get my day started. That's just me getting it started.
Yeah.
Right?
Just getting started. Morning routine established.
I love that, Matthew.
Look at us go.
And thank you, though, really, for being such a great role model for so many students at Ohio State. Your journey to Ohio State, how clear you were about this being your home, but more importantly, the way that you've really started to and have continued to engage in the community. As a resident advisor, that's a really big job. And your major is also huge and takes a lot of time for you, but somehow you find the ways to really make this your Buckeye journey, and one that you can take so much away from. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about students who can manage employment, still find ways to take care of themselves, but also, as Abby mentioned, and Abby, this is probably going to be a thread that we pull through our entire conversation today, is that around finding your space and really connecting to a place. And that's what it sounds like all three of you have done. And it feels to me then that it makes perfect sense why you're in the roles that you're in around shaping that student experience, helping students to engage, learn, and thrive through housing, dining, and recreation. Feels like a really good pathway for success at Ohio State. So we think about the physical facilities, right? We think about where dining happens, where students go to work out, where students live. Those are physical spaces. But where the magic, I think, really happens is within the space, the type of community that's created in those different spaces. How do you all see each of your areas as really, really connecting and supporting student success? 80% of the time that students spend is outside of the classroom. So that's with every single one of you, right? So tell me about how you see your role and your team's role in really supporting student success. Andre, we'll start with you.
Okay, that's great. Well, so for us, in thinking about the magnificent facilities that we have and being fortunate enough to have those on a campus this size and the number of students that come through, and so we, on average, we're somewhere around 2 million visits a year annually.
2 million?
2 million
2
visits.
M, like the M?
That's
okay.
it. The big number.
That's a big number.
Right. But it's more than just that. Like we are maybe, and all of us, I think all of us can say this, is that for most of our students that come and walk through our doors, participate in a program or service, they're there because they want to be there. No one's forcing them to go. They're not required to go. And they're there, and they get to build that community that we're talking about. It's an extension of, their residence hall. It's anytime you go in the weight room, you can definitely tell there's a social atmosphere, right? And that's not everyone there to work completely, entirely on their physical fitness, but some are there to socialize. And so you can see that throughout all of our facilities. And each one of them kind of has its own kind of niche community of followers that go. Jesse Owens South has its own unique set of users that utilizes that space. And kind of the same can be said for the RPAC and Jesse Owens North. And so as part of that, we take that into consideration. And so we have, our advisory board, our student advisory board that kind of helps us kind of plan some of those spaces. And it's a lot easier to plan with them than trying to plan for them. And so taking that voice, having that voice, and we always say we have something for everyone. And if we don't have it, we can definitely try to get it for you and hear that voice and be a part of that, make you part of that experience.
Andre, talk a little bit about the number of students that are employed in our recreation facilities, because that's a big part of student success.
Absolutely. I think this year we're somewhere at the peak of the year when we've got intramural sports going and club sports, and aquatics is having special events and such. We're approaching 800 student employees. And that's at the peak. And, so throughout the entire year, we may not have 800. It kind of fluctuates between 600 and 800 depending on what time of the year we're in. And so being one of the larger student employers on campus, that's very significant for us. That means that every dollar that we generate goes back into a student's pocket.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So that was a shameless plug for employment.
That's right. Come on out. We're always looking for lifeguards.
Always looking for lifeguards. Y'all heard that. If you're thinking about it, go to Rec Sports.
Come on to Rec Sports. We just had even hockey officials. Like we had flag football officials training was this past weekend. A couple nights ago, we were looking for hockey officials, and so at the hockey officials training. And so I got my start in officiating intramural sports. And so it's worked well for me. And it's you talk about character building.
Oh, I bet.
Absolutely.
Having people yell at you, telling you how to do your job.
Right. And then you get to sit next to them in class the next day.
You sure do. Oh, yeah. Goodness gracious.
Right.
All right. Matthew, tell us a little bit about sort of the work around being a resident advisor.
Yeah. Well, when we talk about the spaces throughout housing, we are so fortunate to have such a huge portfolio of housing spaces. And each building is just so unique with, the facilities and the opportunities there, the populations that live there. Even though buildings might look alike, they are not the same at all. From our, living learning communities to our involved living organizations, there's always something different happening all over campus. And I love, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to experience all of these different communities that we have across campus, because it's so funny to see the first couple weeks of the semester, kind of the phase we're in right now where everyone's kind of in their room and starting to make friends and, get out of their shell a little bit, to looking at the end of the year when everybody knows everybody. They're socializing, they're studying together, they're, going out on campus together. It's just so fun to see that growth. And, as an RA, I love just sitting back and kind of watching the community build itself. Just this past weekend in my floor group chat, all of my residents were trying to put together the ingredients to make chocolate chip cookies. And one of the requirements to get a cookie was you had to contribute an ingredient.
That's awesome.
So that's not something that I had to plan at all. Someone just decided they wanted chocolate chip cookies, and where there's a will, there's a way. And they found all the ingredients.
Yes.
And when I got back to my room, there was a cookie waiting for me when I got back. And it was just so incredible. And I love, those unplanned moments where students just take the initiative and are themselves. And to know that that's happening in so many different ways all over campus, I think that's what makes housing really special.
And Matthew, how do you think that plays into shaping each individual's experience at Ohio State?
I think each student here has the opportunity to, create their own experience, to shape their own path and choose the ways that they're going to get involved. For me, it was becoming an RA and kind of leading more into the student life side of the experience here at Ohio State. Other students, find clubs to get involved in or pick up new hobbies, develop friendships and have social nights together. So I don't think that there's just one path for anybody. I think everybody has the opportunity to grow themselves and pursue their own passions.
I love that. Yeah. Thank you. Abby, the unique spaces that are created in dining are those that are physically created. And then we also know that students make their own spaces where they enjoy dining and building community. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, we are so fortunate to have not only student guests, but student employees. So we really try to contribute to their experience in multiple ways, because even our employees are our guests. And so we take that very seriously, that we are their kitchen away from home. We are their dining room. We are where they gather to have those conversations over a meal and share experiences. So we're kind of a release valve for them, like rec sports, like hanging out in the residence halls, where they can just relax and have a meal together and talk about things and get to know each other, especially our first years. We do notice they travel in large packs at the beginning of fall semester. They come in like groups of 8, 10, 12, those types of things. And then this starts to mellow out a little bit as they get into classes and kind of meet some of their solid friend groups. So then they come in lesser quantities. But we are amazingly blessed to have just three shy of 2,200 active student employees as of the 8th of September. So,
wow.
Yes, we are so excited. This is the highest number of student employees we've had at this time in the fall semester. And part of that is, again, our contribution or our commitment to their development. So we have an amazing employee development coordinator, Rachel Stefancic. She does such a phenomenal job with her team. We, really take our student employees and say, yes, we need you in the dish room, we need you in the kitchen, we need you on the front lines, but we also want to know, what are you majoring in? What are the skills you need for those things? We're not silly. We don't think everybody wants to be a food service worker when they get bigger for their adult lives. But we there are so many things that we do and prepare them for wherever they're going, no matter what they're doing. So through our student community leader program, through our employee early arrival training program that we do prior to the start of fall semester, to all of the different things that we do throughout the year for our student employees through the student employee experience program. I mean, there's so many things that we do that Rachel really heads, and we're so blessed to have her as a part of our team. We also really enjoy seeing students grow and take on new positions, whether they're student leads or student managers, and then they really get to build those experiences like Matthew talked about his experience with 4-H, which I love. They really get to build on those things and manage their peers and work with different generations. I mean, our dining facilities are filled with multiple generations. So we talk about that and how do you have those interactions. So the skills we're teaching them kind of, they definitely go beyond the dish room or the kitchen. And we take that, again, very seriously because not everybody wants to be me.
They should. I don't even understand how that's a thing.
They're not going to be a student employee and stay forever. But that's okay.
We'd be okay if they did. We would love that.
We're always okay when they decide to. That's an awesome experience.
You know what I really love, Abby, about a lot of the things that you said, but you connect the dots for students between this is a job, but it can lead to your future. And it doesn't mean a future in dining, but how you take those transferable skills and apply them to anything else that you do in life. Communication is necessary no matter what field you're in, right? The ability to work with others is also incredibly important. Learning how to build team and build community is something that you'll want to have a skill set in. And not a lot of people think about the dining service program in that way. And so I love how you all have positioned the learning and the transferable skills that students can say when they're talking to future employers. Here's what I did in this job, and this is how it translates to what it is this position is requiring. And that's huge. And I love that part about Ohio State. Andre, I think a lot about that when it comes to rec. Students may not continue to work in rec when they leave, but they have gained such incredible skills to be able to go and work really anywhere else. And gosh, being a resident advisor or living in residence halls teaches you a lot about who you are as a person and who you want to be, right, Matthew?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, these are all, they're areas that you can be employed, you can play, you live, you sleep in all these different places, but it doesn't mean that those things don't translate into who you become later, and that you can use all of those skills. It's just incredible. I'm not sure that we always connect the dots for folks, and so I appreciate you all spending some time doing that.
And Doc, it's like, too, what's a buzz topic now for higher ed and for those that employ is workforce development,
Yes.
pipeline development, and so we've got to be the advocates for our own spaces, and
Yes.
And it's something, like you said, back to those transferable skills. That's something we talk about all the time with our student employees, and it's a selling point for us, right? You're going to learn something here, even as what not to do when you get your first job, right? And how to behave
Correct.
in those spaces, and how to be a good team member and play well in the sandbox with everyone else. So,
yeah. I mean, even when I think about my first year in college, there were probably so many things that I never should have done that somehow someone still thought it was okay to employ me. I'm kind of amazed by that,
Right.
really. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Georgia Southern, for
Don't miss the
investing
teachable
in
moments.
me, those teachable moments. And those aren't things like I can remember one or two right now. That's how prominent. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I make it here in this seat? But the learning that happens and the growth that happens as you work and play and live in all these different places can really be so transformative that we don't always think about them in that way. So let's talk a little bit about sort of how students share feedback. We know that students are really good about sharing the things that they love, sharing the things that they don't love nearly as much, and they find all kind of mechanisms by which to share that feedback with us. Abby, I'm going to start with you, and I think about dining. What's new or different or changing in dining services to help meet student expectations, and how do you take all of that feedback that's coming through social media, written surveys, one-to-one conversations with students? How do you take all of that, make meaning of it, and then where you can implement change, and when you can't, how do you communicate that back out? Just give me some line of sight into how that magic happens.
Yeah. So one of the things that we always need to keep in the back of our mind as administrators, as managers, as, all of my team members is we work at a large institutions. So again, there are so many individuals here that have so many different, specific dietary needs, wants, likes, dislikes. Like, we are very aware we're never going to please everyone. So we try to not take things to heart. So we know we're not perfect, but we strive to be. So, we take that feedback as learning opportunities, as opportunities to really think about, are we hitting that niche? Are we providing that option for that student's particular needs, right? So, whether they're allergies or a religious need, just a preference. We have athletes that have very specific diets that they're on, that because they need very specific nutritional content in their meals. So we take lots of feedback from a lot of places. The best place to give it is dining at osu.edu, because that for sure gets to us who can actually make decisions for change versus, our favorite social media channels where not everything always gets to the right people to actually look at and consider that change. But we take that very seriously, and we try to do as much as we can for as many as we can, knowing we can't always please the vast amount of students that we have here at Ohio State. But we do our best. We try very hard.
But we also welcome feedback. I think that's
Absolutely.
really important
Absolutely.
because not every organization really facilitates opportunities for individuals to share feedback. And while, to your point, while we know that we can't meet everyone's needs, it doesn't mean that we don't want to hear about the things that are working and the things that are not working. So let's lean a little bit more into, Abby, something that you have seen change in dining services that is in direct response to student feedback, and how have you seen that impact participation or at least attendance in your facilities?
So, sorry, one of the feedbacks we get all the time is about healthy. And healthy is a term we really try to never use in our office or in our communications, because healthy it's a very obsolete word, right? Everyone's nutritional needs are different. Everyone has different body makeup. They have different energy needs that they need throughout the day. An athlete needs something very different than somebody that's sitting at a desk or working in a computer or doing those kinds of things. So everybody has such very different needs that we really go by healthy is not really a great term to use, because all food, unless it's poisonous, which we don't serve, is healthy in moderation, in balance, as long as you're paying attention. Like I always tell students, don't forget to listen to that little voice in your head that says, maybe I should eat some vegetables and not have another serving of chicken fingers, right? And it's a hard voice to listen to. I get it. But it's about moderation. It's about balance. But that's the number one request we get, and the number one feedback we get is there's not healthy options out there. And it kind of always makes us squeam a little, because all food is healthy as long as you're eating it in balance, in moderation, and meeting your individual needs. Not all the needs of everyone are the same. So, listen to that little voice, eat some vegetables, and balance that out with your cheeseburgers or your chicken fingers or your milkshakes.
I was going to ask, do I now have permission, it sounds like, to have more ice cream?
Absolutely.
Right. That's
absolutely.
Thank you.
Maybe not every day.
Oh, okay, sure.
But if you're balancing it, and moderation is probably not every day. That's probably not the definition of moderation, but.
Okay,
but
thank
it can
you.
Be, if that works for you,
I was really good with your first response. I'm so good at that. I can now have. Then I'll come over to the RPAC or to another one of our rec facilities that Andre is going to talk to us a little bit about. And tell us, Andre, what are some things that you've heard from students that you all have made a concerted effort to adjust? And what is one of the most exciting things that you've experienced since being at Ohio State?
Well, I'll start with saying I'm disappointed that we don't have chicken fingers and milkshakes in the RPAC. No.
Same. I would come more often.
You and more. You and more, yes.
No, but that's you'd be amazed at some of the questions we get. It's like, because we do have dining being part of having a presence in the RPAC, right? And so we get questions about dining options all the time as well. But I'll say probably one of the most amazing things that's happened over the last couple of years for us is we get feedback, whether it be through the Rec Sports inbox or through social media or that impromptu email that you get from a parent that talks about how we integrate technology. And so over the last couple of years, we've done just that. And so including like the Rec Sports app that we now have, that makes it very convenient for those that sometimes forget their Buck ID, and being able to use the app for access into any of our facilities, or the integration of the digital media screens that we have throughout the facilities, where we are constantly updating information, whether it be facility hours or what's the latest and greatest in terms of class access or those fitness classes that we offer, or and for those avid swimmers that come and swim in the mornings, right? And so being able to get that information now and update folks in a timely manner through a media of which they utilize and appreciate is the key, right? And so having that feedback from students, and we're also fortunate enough too that we've got a significant number of graduate assistants who are not that far removed from being an undergraduate student, but they're also very involved in what we do in our program delivery. And so they're kind of in that space, and it's their generation of technology. So we ask a lot of questions from our GAs too, like what's the best way to get this out? And so they're aware of things and media that I'm not aware of. I'll be the first to say that I'm not a huge social media person, right? But they can tell me what's the latest and greatest versus Facebook is for people my age, right? And not necessarily all of our students are going to Facebook. And so as you look at things like that, those are changes that we've made in terms of where we provide information and where it goes out. So keeping them engaged. So technology has been the latest and greatest. And so, and hopefully, and speaking of that, so at some point we hope to be able to integrate, everybody's got some form of wearable technology on right now, right? And so how do we integrate that into what we do and still be able to push our message and keep people safe and in our spaces? So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Just a side note, I'm going to connect the two rec and dining people right now. So throughout the summer, I was out visiting with a whole host of students and families. They'd been accepted to Ohio State. And oftentimes during those receptions, current students would be in attendance and would talk a lot about their experiences at Ohio State and why Ohio State is the best place. It was fascinating the number of students that referred to the dining options in rec and the RPAC specifically about how much they love that food.
Yeah.
And there were lots of parents that were like, wait a minute, there's food in the rec facility that's actually really good that students enjoy? And I said, well, yes, I just didn't connect the dots between food at the rec center being one of their favorite places to eat. So if you didn't know that, there you go.
There you go.
They love it. And the acai bowls, do they serve that?
Acai.
Acai, thank you. Acai, everybody. Bowls. Love them. And again, I know nothing about that. I've never thought, I think I'm going to go eat at the RPAC. Like, I just haven't, that just hasn't come to mind, but apparently it's the place to go.
Well, so shameless plug, right? So this year is the 20th birthday of the RPAC. This year,
Yeah.
a couple Fridays ago was actually the day that it opened, and so you have to think back to those folks that had that concept in mind of making the RPAC and the other rec centers kind of a one-stop shop in terms of your social engagement. We think about the wellness center that's there, the Mary Daniels Wellness Center that's in the RPAC as well. And so there's many opportunities to get engaged and kind of meet you where you are in terms of those spaces. And so whether it's dining options, grabbing a snack or a full-out meal, and because the menu changes throughout the day, right? And so you've got the lunch menu, and then you've got the evening menu as well, the dinner menu. And so, we meet people, and not everyone lives on campus, right? And so we may become, and if you look at the lobby in the RPAC or any of the other rec centers, you'll find folks that are there for multiple hours. They're studying, they're meeting their friends. It's kind of a convenient place to kind of come and just hang out. And so having it as a welcoming space where you can come in and hopefully we've done a good job at easing that kind of that fear of walking into a rec center. So it's more like I'm coming home and I'm coming to engage, I'm coming to hang out with my friends. And if you hear us, we don't say that we're more than just a gym, right? We're more than just a gym. So there's many options for you to get engaged and be involved and work on your personal fitness levels.
Well, they love it. And that was a new one for me. So lots of things that I've learned over the past couple of months. Matthew, now as an RA, you live with our students, you hear all the things. So I'm asking you to give us the inside scoop on what our students are saying about their experiences, dining, housing, rec. We're all going to be supportive of whatever you say. So be honest and candid. We want to know, how do students tell you that they're experiencing their day-to-day life at Ohio State that encompasses where they live, where they play, and where they eat?
Yeah, so residents love sharing their opinions with me, and I love hearing their opinions because I want to know what's going on too. And so to talk about something new, something exciting that I get to be at the forefront of are the new master lease properties that we just brought on this year. It's our first full academic year housing students in apartment-style environments near campus. And it's been really exciting to give students the opportunity to kind of have a soft transition from dorm to dorm apartment kind of environment to, set them up for success to live off campus. And of course, there have been, headaches and things that we're working to get figured out. But I just love seeing everyone enjoying their apartment and making it their own. And then when it comes to voicing opinions, there's no hesitation to send a message to ask, what's going on with this? What's going on with mail? Or, why isn't my key working? Or I lost my Buckeye ID. What do I do? And we also handle emergency situations, right? Like RAs are on call. There's always an RA on call every single night, 365 days a year. So we're also there to kind of troubleshoot those situations and give them support there. So yeah, I think housing does a great job all over campus listening to what students want and also giving them the opportunity to take a leadership role. I'm going to give a shout out to our community councils all over campus. Almost all of our buildings have some sort of community council or programming committee that students can join. And a little in case you didn't know, a very small portion of each student's housing fee goes towards programming and community councils. And then we invite residents to join the community council and take leadership in that and decide how those funds are spent. You know, it's their money. Let's give them the voice to do what they want to do. And I've seen community councils come up with so many creative events and, you know, fun programs in the residence halls. And I just encourage everyone to get involved and to reach out, not only to their RA, but to their community council, to their hall director, their whoever. And I think this also goes beyond housing, right? With rec sports, with dining, reach out, share your opinion. That's what we're here for. And honestly, I think it kind of makes our job easier when people are telling us what they want, because then that takes the guesswork out of it. You want, you know, this new thing, or you want me to plan an event about this? Cool, let's do that.
Yeah, I love that. The openness to feedback, I think, is probably what makes our organizations better and stronger. Is because we do invite it, encourage it, and certainly want students to feel comfortable enough to also share those things that are working in there where there may be a few pain points. How do we try and address them? And if we can't, explaining why perhaps we can't do so, I think also really matters. All right, last section of our time together. That went fast, didn't it, team? I know.
Here we are.
I know. Could each of you tell me at least one thing that our students are consistently asking for? Consistently. Abby, we'll start with you.
Oh my goodness, so much pressure.
So much pressure.
Consistently asking for late night dining service hours.
Oh, what's late night? Define that.
Again, that's a very broad category. Yeah, a late night. I mean, for them, they would love 24-hour service. We've done in the past very unsuccessfully, but I think at least up until like midnight is really ideal. We do have some later night hours that we run Sunday through Thursday, which are key study nights. But we're looking at expanding and providing some additional opportunities for that. But again, that's something they've been asking for regularly. We were able to bring on some of our partner vendor food trucks this fall who are willing to do late night hours till 11.
Oh,
so
good.
we have some of them out. Is that Monday through Thursday primarily, doing some late night hours till 11, which is proving to be really great. And so we're looking at some other opportunities as well. But that's a very consistent one. We got a lot of late night studiers out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're studying really hard. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is Dos Hermanos one of those late nights?
It is.
That was just a personal desire.
It is,
Okay,
yes.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
It is located at the North Clock Tower.
Oh.
Till 11.
Till 11.
And it's so good.
It is so good. They're
Hence
fantastic.
why
All the food trucks are so good.
They are. They really are so good. Well, thanks, Abby. That's really helpful, too. And part of that, and each of you can, Matthew and Andre, y'all can loop all of this together, is the importance of having your needs met. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? That's how you determine whether or not you believe you have been successful, is by how you're able to really navigate those things that are important to you and can have access to them. And so thinking about how we're responding to the needs and requests can directly tie into how students view whether or not student success has been accomplished. Would you say that, Abby, when people feel like their voices are being heard, they feel like they're a part of the community, that makes them feel more connected, and go on and on and on?
On and on, yes, absolutely. And, you know, we hear them. We just need to try and balance, you know, what are the costs associated with staying open later versus the, you know, that additional service. So again, we're very lucky to have some really great community partners that are willing to also do some of these late night hours and different things. So again, you know, that feedback is priceless for us because we don't know what we don't know. right? So students consistently telling us this is a need, this is something they want it in the residence hall areas, so when they're coming back from libraries late at night, they have these options. So it all goes back to that feedback as well.
And you use that data, right? You see how many people are actually there at 5 minutes till 11 versus the desire. And is that realistic? Are they actually showing up? I remember I worked at a place where students were like, we really want a lot of healthy options. But then when we looked at card swipe data, and we knew they were getting more hamburgers and tacos than they were salads and green things. So we're like, okay, healthy, To your point, Abby, right? Like, that's fascinating. Now, I would support that notion of a hamburger being healthy.
Absolutely.
If I eat half of it, right? Isn't that okay?
Just eat it with a salad.
See, look at you. I consider the lettuce that's on the burger.
Yes. Oh, add some tomato to that. You got something
look
going.
what I'm done. This is what I'm saying. There are ways that we can make this a healthy.
100%.
How about some avocado?
Oh,
and the avocado?
Oh,
yes, for sure. And if I only eat the bottom of it, there are lots of ways to make these things. And if anybody can find it out, it is
I
me.
appreciate your definition of balance.
You're very welcome, Abby. I'm here for you and all of our students. Thinking about that a little bit, Matthew, what's some of your insights there?
Yeah, sort of a niche ask that I've really picked up on this year. Personal mobility devices are a huge trend. And what I mean by that, not just bicycles, but electric scooters, hoverboards, electric skateboards. Students are using them all the time. And I've never seen so many scooters all over campus and trying to enter our residence halls, even though they're not allowed. Because they do pose a serious safety hazard.
For sure.
We don't want any residence halls fires. I don't want to fire in my residence hall because that means that I'm getting a call and then I have to do paperwork and it just becomes this whole thing. But on the note, so many of my residents have been asking for more bike racks and more spaces to store, these devices so that they can still use them while following the rules and coming up with their own way to navigate campus. And so I'm really hopeful that we're able to meet that need and allow them to build their own routine into housing, dining, and recreation.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Andre, what's that thing you're hearing about every day?
Well, there's kind of three things, but I think they all focus around there's a theme to them, and it's flexibility of play. Flexibility in play. And so whether that's outdoor, in terms of our outdoor spaces, being here in the Midwest, we're kind of limited to when we can be outside, especially in terms of if it's raining or snowing, then we kind of close the fields down and you don't have access to them. So we get that request all the time. When are you going to turf the rest of the field spaces that we have? But also in participation in intramural sports or our fitness classes, that flexibility. And so kind of how we've met that is we created an intramural league pass, where it's not all scheduled and structured, but they can kind of drop in and play as their schedules allow. And so that's been widely popular. We got to thank Dominique Dunn, who came up with that idea and concept and kind of instituted that for us. And it's been very successful. And so you kind of see the same too, whether it's pop-up classes that we may have in terms of some group fitness classes. And so we get those requests all the time. They want that flexibility, which if you've been around higher ed long enough, you've been in the rec space long enough, we've gone from being super structured to I really want structure to I want to be flexible. I want to be able to be in control and in charge of my time and do it when I want to do it. So
no. Isn't that just in general?
Right.
Abby, Matthew, Andre, thank you all so much for the incredible insights and perspective and bird's eye view into housing, dining, and rec at Ohio State. We could probably spend another hour together just talking about all of the programs and services and initiatives that are in place Matthew, I think so much about the role of resident advisors and how critical you all are in helping shape and define that student experience, especially for our first-year students who are looking to build community and find home in Columbus, and the important role that resident advisors play in that. I just can't thank you all enough for what you do, and our community councils. Every student that invests in their peers deserves a huge round of applause, because that's a big role. You're 24/7, and you all do it with such grace and such care and genuine desire to just enhance that student experience. And so thank you all so much for what you do. Abby, gosh, as somebody who has been thrilled about the fact that we were going to have a Donato's on campus, I know firsthand that you take feedback very seriously and you work really hard to try and meet our student needs. You haven't said it, but I know it to be true that our dining services program is one of the best in the country as a self-op. I've had the opportunity to work on a lot of different campuses, and the dining is not a big concern that I have, because students are not beating down my door saying we need something different in dining. What they say is, this is really good food for on-campus food. That's why for on-campus food, this is really good. And that to me is one of the highest compliments, because they're hearing stories from their parents and others that have talked to them about what food was like on campus, but they aren't experiencing that. They have an entirely different sort of palette, and it feels like we do a really good job of trying to meet that. And so thank you, and thanks to your team for the level of flexibility and the willingness to listen and to engage. It makes a huge difference for our students and for their families who have looked at that as a part of their decision-making about why Ohio State. So really appreciative there. And Andre, thanks for allowing and creating enough spaces on our campus for students to find both ways to support their physical health and their mental health, which I don't think we talk quite enough about, which is why I was saying we could talk for another hour. But what you all have been able to do in really transforming these facilities from being sort of brick and mortar to family and community, and to allowing people to be and bring their whole selves into those spaces and play when they want, even eat when they want, that I've learned, and eat really good food that they love. Acai. Acai. I'm going to figure this out. By the time we're done with these podcasts, I'm going to know how to say that. Fancy term. But seriously, Andre, thanks to you and your team and the whole host of student employees that create these kind of spaces for our students and community members who also have membership in our rec facilities. You all do everything to make this place exactly what we want, a place where students can engage, learn, and thrive. And for that, I am incredibly grateful. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Docs Download, the podcast version, the podcast where story, strategy, and student success all come together. Remember, Buckeyes, that student success isn't just about what happens in the classroom. It's also very much about what happens outside of the classroom that helps you to be able to engage, learn, and thrive on our campuses. Until next time, take good care of yourselves, and as absolutely always, go Bucks!
Go Bucks.
This program is a presentation of the Office of Student Life at The Ohio State University, recorded in the studios of WOSU Public Media. Your engineer is Dalton Jones, producers J. Randall Hicks and Matthew Swearingen, and executive producer Jen Vandemark. The views expressed are those of the host and guest and do not necessarily reflect those of the university. Join us next time for another edition of Docs Download, the podcast.